Hey all, Grolo here. Merry Christmas Eve. I love this time of year. I love everything about it. Just my absolute favorite. Christmas trees, the lights, the eggnog, the fireplace, Santa Claus, you name it. I love it all. I really hope that you and yours are doing very well and that you are enjoying this time of year as much as I am. I truly mean that. And what a year it has been. I'm going to go ahead and call 2025 one of the greats in gaming. At least for sandbox MMOs. Star Citizen has had its best year ever, as far as I can tell, at least since I've been with the project. All the numbers and the data seem to support that, even for the years prior to me being here. Chris Roberts just put out a letter from the chairman, and I want to dig into that with you. And we're going to do that in just a moment. But first, I also wanted to mention that along the lines of this being a out of the park year for sandbox MMOs, Ashes of Creation just had its big early access launch on Steam, and it seems to be very well received. It's doing very well in our community, and that seems to be the case more broadly. And of course, as we've talked about quite a bit on this channel, PAX Day had its big launch just a couple months ago. We've been enjoying that immensely. Each one of these games has been very ambitious in its own right. It's the reason that we've focused on these three games on this channel over the many months past. You know, Ashes of Creation with its ripping out the Unreal 5 stack and layering on its own to achieve higher levels of scale, larger battles, all this stuff. The subgridding that they're doing is very ambitious. PAX Day has a very ambitious building system for an MMO. Very ambitious world creation and stuff going on in there. And then, of course, Star Citizen, which is where we spend the lion's share of our time on this channel. Obviously, the crown for ambition whenever it comes to scale, scope, fidelity, that must go to none other than Star Citizen. You know, I'm excited that one of these games has finally launched. The other two feel closer than ever. But when it comes to Star Citizen's ambition, the letter that Chris just put out, the chairman's letter, it really works to drive home everything going on in that project. So let's take a look at that together now. Now, quickly before we do, I wanted to say just two things. One, if you're looking to enjoy any of these games, and you're looking for a kick-ass group to do it with, hit the description below. There's links in there that'll bring you to our website, our Discord. I'd really love to welcome you to the team. I think you'd have a blast here. And two, thank you so much for everyone who's been coming out to support the Saturday live streams I've been doing. I've done these for like 3 Saturdays in a row now. I do want to keep them going as regular things on this channel. So if you got a free Saturday and you haven't been out yet, come on out. We got a really great group of folks that have been coming out for them. We'd love to add you to the the chat. It's been so much fun. I think you'd have a blast if you came out. So love to see you there. Now, let's dig into this letter. Now, I skimmed through this beforehand, and I had a lot of thoughts. So I wanted to step through it with y'all and share those thoughts. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of reading stuff off of a website to the camera, I felt like I kind of have to do that here to maintain context as I deliver the thoughts. So I'm going to do that. We'll pause a lot, interject. Hopefully the format works out. Okay, here we go. Chris Roberts says, as we wrap up 2025, I want to take a moment to reflect on the year and what it's meant for all of us. 2025 became the year of playability for Star Citizen. It was a year when more people played than ever before and spent more time in the verse than at any point in our history. That momentum did not happen by chance. It came from a focused effort to improve quality of life, performance, and reliability, and to make gameplay experience more engaging and rewarding to return to. More rewarding to return to. everything in this paragraph makes sense. It definitely was the year of playability. They did put a ton of effort into improving the state of things, and you know, as we've talked about many times in this channel, we definitely have all felt that like the game has been more playable. I've been able to jump in there and do like 8-hour play sessions without so much as a server crash. I mean, it's night and day from where it was a year ago, right? Experience more engaging and more rewarding to return to. You know, some of the rewards that they've put into the system or into the platforming game this year were not really compelling to me, but they have definitely been compelling to a lot of people that I've spoken to, talked to. So what they're doing is working for some significant portion of the audience, right? So kudos to them. We've started the year with 2 clear goals as a company: to improve stability and quality of life in Star Citizen while continuing to deliver regular content updates, and to push Squadron 42 towards beta and release in 2026. I'm happy to say we've made great progress on both fronts. You know, I've started seeing in the emails that come out from them, if you've paid attention, at the bottom of the emails, they have kind of those Squadron 42 blurbs and banners. And I noticed that the language around the Squadron 42 release has been very affirmative. It says shipping or coming in 2026. I've just noticed that recently. I don't know how long that's been going on, but that definitely seems to be a language and kind of posture change from CIG. You know, there's been a lot of questioning on, like, is it actually going to happen? Is it going to be delayed again? I wouldn't imagine that they would be putting that in every blurb email going out if the confidence was not high, so that's a good sign. All right, continuing on. Oh, that's right, they have a video here. I'm gonna watch this this video quick. It's a short one.
What makes this place different?
It was built by us.
Welcome.
That was really good.
Thank you for embracing our most ambitious year yet. Here's to pushing the outer limits in 2956. It's a pretty awesome video. I think in the beginning, when they said what makes this place different, it was built by us. There's no doubt they're talking about the project itself there, even though that came from a quote from the earlier Nick's reveal. Yeah, I mean, that is something that makes Star Citizen different from any other game of this class. Like, I'm thinking MMOs here, like the fact that this was crowdfunded and to this level, I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. And in a sense, this game is built by us Star Citizens, right? And when they flash through the rest of the video talking about like the creatures, the fauna, they're showing all the different ships that came out this year, 2-star systems, everything else. I mean, there's no doubt that 2025 delivered on this game. Now, they mentioned 2-star systems. I wouldn't I would call it 1.2 star systems, right? Like the Nyx system has come out in a way very different from how Pyro came out. Pyro came out with all of its planets and moons intact, whereas Nyx is more of an empty system that they're going to build live in front of us. So that's just nitpicking. And there's no doubt. Kudos off to them. Hats off. It's kudos to them. Hats off. It's been an incredible year for them. So this was a really cool video to sum it up. They also mentioned in this video, like, the community engagement, right? There is no question, I forget where it was in the video, but there is no question that of all the game companies, studios, and projects out there, I can't think of anyone out there that engages the community to the level that CIG does with Star Citizen. It's next level community engagement, and I don't think enough people will give them the props that they deserve for this. Like, community engagement's a lot of work in and of itself, right? But it's definitely seems integral to the CIG and Star Citizen DNA, which makes sense given the way this project was backed and founded and the way it's sustained. But it's still worthy of kudos and accolades, in my opinion. If you know of any game that engages the community quite to this level, I would love to hear about it in the comments. I'm certainly not aware of any. Even going back to like some of the events that like I can think of that come in anywhere near in the ballpark would be like WoW, back whenever they were doing BlizzCon on a yearly basis. Those were pretty epic. But again, that was like an annual thing. Like, they didn't have the sustained community engagement that Star Citizen has, even in addition to the yearly annual conferences that they do. So anyway, let's continue on with this chairman's letter. Star Citizen. On the Star Citizen side, we saw a number of important pieces come together. We released not one, but 2 star systems in a single year. Welcomed to the return of the beloved landing zone Levski, and added new locations around the verse, opening more spaces to explore and spend time in. Now, we already talked about the 2 star systems thing. I would call it like 1.2. Again, not quite the same as the Pyro release, but still, that's such a minor nit. They certainly deserve credit for expanding the universe by 2 jump points within a 1-year time span. Incredible achievement. Server meshing was the key technology that made all of this possible. With the release of 4.0.1 to the live environment on January 28th, we moved into a bigger, more performant, and stable universe. And while there were a few hiccups and some legacy systems like elevators and air traffic control that were built long before server meshing was conceived, server meshing itself has been working flawlessly since the beginning, a testament to the design and execution of the system by our network, backend, engine, and gameplay teams. The only thing that stood out to me in this paragraph, I mean, in addition to what an incredible achievement it was to bring server meshing into the universe, we've talked about that extensively in the past. No doubt, it was a hell of an achievement. The working flawlessly part, I don't know if I've ever seen a system in my entire career that has worked flawlessly. There's always something going on behind the scenes. Now, I will definitely commend them that, like, from our side, from a consumer viewing the game, I can't say that any of the problems and issues that we've been having on a routine basis have really been related to server meshing, and that is a hell of an achievement, right? There's definitely been a lot of issues over the year with various systems, but I can agree with them here that we probably can't attribute. There's none that I can think of that we can attribute to server meshing itself, and that is one hell of an accomplishment, and definitely a testament to the design of the system. But working flawlessly, that seems like a marketing stretch to me. That's okay. It's okay to pat yourselves on the back and take some credit where it's due from time to time, no doubt. Every day, server meshing handles tens of thousands of people playing concurrently in shared instances of up to 700 players. For something that simulates everything to the level of detail we do, at the scale we do, in first and third person, this is truly a mind-boggling achievement. Most other multiplayer games top out at between 50 to 100 players in a much more contained space than we allow you to explore in Star Citizen. And the MMOs with high player counts in the same instance don't simulate and render the world to the extent that we do. All of this is true with a little bit of spin to it, which, you know, they're marketing a game here. They're entitled to do that. The games that they're talking about, they're limited to like 50 to 100 players. That's true on a tile or on a game server or on a DGS, right? If you look at games like PAX Day or, I don't know, Conan Exiles or, some of the Last Man Standing games or Rust, you know, all of these games kind of have similar player limits, and it's exactly what Chris is describing, but those are all in environments sans server meshing, right? If you look at a game like Dune Awakening, you know, on a particular server, they are definitely within that range of 50 to 100 players. They can't really go beyond that. This is a very wide-ranging limitation that a lot of games at these fidelity levels face. The only way to really ratchet it up from there is to go, like to Chris's point, lower fidelity. So if you look at something like World of Warcraft, you know, they can go higher player counts, but they give up things like action combat and that kind of fidelity that goes along with it, right? They're doing tab, target, command, queue systems. Same with something like EVE Online. Ashes of Creation is scaling up its player counts higher than that per shard, but they're doing it through tap target style combat and action queuing style combat, not with live action combat. Even though it might seem that way, they are simulating live action combat on top of tab target style combat. So Chris's points are well received here, but it's the meshing that allows them to make that claim, because Star Citizen faces very similar constraints on a single DGS, right? These 700 players that they're squeezing into a universe is because they're connecting 7+ servers together, and that's how they're achieving these numbers. If you try to cram, you know, all 700 of those players onto a single DGS in Star Citizen right now, I don't think it's going to work out. And it's so from the days when I first joined the project, where the player limit was around 100, it has climbed because of server meshing. But we're still facing the scale down challenge, which we've talked a lot about on this channel, which is like, how do you cram more people into smaller areas? And dynamic meshing is certainly part of that answer, so that you can dynamically shrink that area down. But again, you're going to run into limits and so forth. We talked about that ad nauseum. I'm not going to go into it again here, but I just wanted to comment. These points are well received. They're very well articulated with a little bit of spin, and I just wanted to dump some of my thoughts there. Continuing on, as multiple servers now manage our vast universe, the individual server performance has greatly increased, creating a much better experience for all of you. And due to its design and separate service that tracks the state of the universe for all servers and clients, it allows us to quickly recover from a client or server crash without losing our progress, which is a huge quality of life win. No doubt. No doubt the recovery has drastically improved with the adoption of server meshing. 30Ks are nearly a thing of the past. I've only heard about them very rarely. They used to happen on a per session basis for me. And them talking about the individual server performance has greatly increased. I think what they're referring to here is the fact that they've been able to spread players out across more servers. It's allowed each server to be more performant, as they're not all enduring the load that they used to have to endure. That's certainly one way to drive up performance. I imagine at the same time, they're also working to increase single server performance kind of separately. So in addition to spreading players out and making gains, also optimizing and fine-tuning the loop on those individual servers to crank even more performance out of them. Definitely going to be part of the problem, or part of the equation. Continuing on, we also shipped more mission content and in-game events than ever before this year, no doubt. That included large-scale moments like teaming up to take on the irradiated Apex Valakar, we've done that ad nauseum, or coming face-to-face with Yormandi, as well as longer-running storylines that helped add depth and context to the verse. No doubt, they've really done a lot of this kind of, I call it on-rails content, they call it sandbox content. I think we have a fundamental divergence in what we call Rails or sandbox, but that's okay. It's their game. They can turn it however they want to. The environments continue to evolve as well, expanding weather effects. Yeah, no doubt. The weather effects that they've added this year have been incredible. When you really like watch that video and you think back and you're thinking about all the things we're talking about here, it's again, we just talked about it in the last video I did on this channel about how it's so easy to get accustomed to new things once they're kind of in our hands and they start to become normal, right? It's so easy to get used to them, take them for granted, and forget about all the time that led up to them. If you missed it, the last video I did talked all about this phenomenon and why it matters in the way we perceive development. But anyway, when you really stop and you kind of recap and you think about it, like, it's kind of mind-boggling what all shipped this year. Anyway, planetary conditions help make locations feel more distinct and atmospheric, while improvements to characters, player interaction, and AI contributed to a more intuitive experience. That intuitive experience thing is something that I have alluded to many times in our conversation, especially in the live chats recently. You might have heard me talking about how I consider something like Ashes of Creation to be a more complex experience than Star Citizen, and it's precisely because of this intuitive experience thing that they just made a mention of. It comes down to like the way you as a gamer are interfacing with the game, right? You look at something like Ashes of Creation, which in a lot of ways it shares a lot with something like World of Warcraft, right? You have a command bar of all your abilities, you have all these different interfaces and ways of controlling things, ranging from crafting to resource processing to character management and progression, like talent trees, and there's about anyway. It requires you as a player to learn, and I'm not saying it's bad, it's just different, right? It's two different ways of approaching the same problem. And while a player may have to learn a lot of different interface elements in a game like Ashes or WoW or whatever, Star Citizen really boils that down to, hey, here's your environment, interact with it with your F key, or, shoot at it. And that's kind of it. The environment itself is the complexity in Star Citizen, not the controls. And I know as soon as you hear that, you're going to jump to like piloting and ship controls, and that is very true. But again, they boil that down to the environment, like whenever you're actually in a ship, steering is very intuitive. Now, controlling all the different ship's facilities, that's going to take a while to master. But as we can see, and I'm sure we'll talk about here soon, their push into VR was made possible by the intuitive human-to-machine interaction in this game. Because all of those ship controls and everything you're going to be able to do, like there's actual buttons in the environment to do those things, right? There's a little lever you can flip to open all the doors. There's a toggle over here, a button you can push to enter the remote turret. They're actual interactable entities within the environment, allowing the human-to-machine interaction to be really just your F key, your trigger key, just a few different things. Now, obviously, there's a billion hotkeys that you can configure in the game and map those to real-world things like sticks and throttles and all that stuff. That's a totally separate topic, but it does not take away from the fact that at a basic level, you can interact with the entirety of what Star Citizen offers with very, very few inputs and controls. Anyway, got off a little bit of a tangent there, but I thought of that as soon as I read that comment on the intuitive finding my place here. Yeah, more intuitive experience. We also expanded the vehicle lineup, introducing 24 new vehicles while continuing to improve the ships and ground vehicles already in your hands. Yeah, I think this was the most ships they've ever launched in a year. I think that's correct. So, no doubt on that one. Supporting all of this was a significantly increased pace of delivery compared to previous years. In 2025, Star Citizen delivered 11 major patches, more than 40 live publishes, 147 PTU builds, and several tech previews. This new pace allowed us to iterate faster, respond to feedback sooner, and deliver more content to play throughout the year. Yeah, no contest on this. They have really ratcheted up the pace and speed of delivery. We've talked about that also on this channel in several videos. You know, I did several recaps where we talked about their bug fixing cadence and all that stuff. You know, you go back, you can look at a few of the videos I did on, like, we did some checkpoints throughout the year, kind of tracking how they were trending and kind of measured stability improvements through bug fixing, some other things. So all that lines up, no doubt. We closed out the year with the introduction of engineering and Star Citizen Alpha 4.5. Now, I don't know about you, but Star Citizen Alpha 4.5 for me has been a step back. There has definitely been some regressions in stability, performance, and playability on this patch. I kind of called this. I don't know if I said this here on the channel, but within our community, I've called this several times. CIG has it's kind of a tradition at this point that right before they go on holiday, they have to ship a game-breaking patch. We all kind of have to suffer it through the holidays before they return, and then they kind of restore the system to working order. I just in the couple years that I've been with this project, I have seen this every year. So it was no surprise to me that we get a patch that kind of regresses things. Yeah, I don't know what to say there. You know, hopefully after CIG returns from break and holidays, things quickly went back to the way they were prior to 4.5 landing. But we will endure. Adding new layers of interaction, decision making, and responsibility to managing your ship. Engineering is an important step toward deeper systemic experiences I've always wanted to build, where coordination and your crew truly matter. While future systems such as Maelstrom's physically based materials and destruction, more realistic shield gameplay, and generators and emitters, and our upcoming crafting system will further deepen engineering, it was important to bring engineering into the verse now so that we can begin to refine the experience in the live environment. No question that something as big as engineering, it deserves to be in the game sooner than later. Definitely, you don't want to allow perfect to be the enemy of good. We want to get this system out there so that we can start to iterate on it, refine it, give feedback on it. So I totally get it. I've interacted with it a little bit, and I can definitely understand where they're coming from here. Like, there's so many other systems that are going to connect into engineering that are definitely going to make it feel like its place is better defined in the universe. Right now, it definitely feels kind of a little kind of an add-on or afterthought in some ways. I know it's not, but I can understand how people might feel that way until there's more. It's no different than mining, right? Today, mining feels kind of detached from the systems around it because we lack things like crafting or player ship-based refining or base, but like all those things that will give more meaning to mining, make mining itself feel more detached in their absence. And I kind of get that sense from engineering as well. Like, there's definitely, like, it's not quite the same because engineering is already affecting combat, maybe for the worse, depending on your perspective. But there's no doubt that it will just continue to feel more connected to the systems and the universe around it as some of these other things come online. And I share Chris's sentiment here whenever it comes to engineering helping to bring that the depth of crew interactions to the forefront, such that a very well functioning and cohesive crew will be evident through the performance of the ship in and out of combat. I'm very, very on board with that. I'm very excited about that, and I know most of you are too. Finally, as a Christmas surprise, we quietly released an experimental VR mode in Alpha 4.5. What a shock this was for me, in some ways. What began as a passion project quickly caught people's attention, and the response from those who have tried it has been genuinely exciting. Going back to the intuitive interface thing that we were just talking about, my first steps into Star Citizen had me almost immediately thinking, this is going to be the first enormous VR game. Just because of the way the interface was designed, seemingly since the beginning. I mean, it's real easy to overlook the forward thinking going into the human-machine interaction in this game, and that has definitely paved the way towards these VR ambitions. I will go on record saying that Star Citizen is going to be the biggest, most successful VR game ever made. There's just no doubt in my mind. While I'm not a VR connoisseur or player myself, I've certainly heard from a lot of people around me that this is a really, really good first swing. Again, the way that and objects have always existed in the environment to be interacted with, it just seems so obvious, right? Like, so for the same reason that like the Tobii eye tracker and head tracking software works so well in this game, it's impressive. And it's really cool to see all these threads kind of coming together to fulfill the potential of this project. I've long believed that Star Citizen is a natural fit for VR. Yeah, what we were just saying, because of how we build our worlds, exactly. We physicalize almost everything, keeping first and third person views consistent in a shared universe. An approach that takes more effort, but it makes the experience feel grounded and real, and it highlights the value of those design choices in a way few other technologies can. Something as simple as that, well, it seems simple to you and me, it's so easy to overlook the complexities therein, right? Like, the fact that in third or first person, everything is grounded and connected, as he's talking about. Like, that takes effort. That's not something you just get for free. Being able to experience ships, environments, and equipment at true scale with natural movement and directional audio adds a level of immersion that's difficult to capture on a traditional display. All the detail we put into our environments, props, ships, and gear really pays off when you're up close and personal. This is what I have been hearing from the people who have tried it, is that you get kind of a whole new level of appreciation for the world and the environment once you're in it with VR. And I hope someday that I can experience this myself. I have some issues that I worry might prevent me. Like I have some like what do you call it? Dizziness stuff going on that concern might hold me back, but I'm hoping that I can experience this because I can imagine what they're saying, right? Like this, just that. I mean, I already appreciate it. It's one of the reasons I got this huge display in front of me. I got one of these like 57-inch ultra-wide displays just so I can get like that panoramic effect of walking around the starships and the cities and everything else. But I can imagine that it's even next level once you got a headset on. Yeah, it's truly mind-boggling. This is still an early experimental step, and there's plenty that we want to improve. We need to continue dialing in the diegetic UI so it feels comfortable and readable in VR. Refine FPS controls so that your input controls your body rather than where you're looking, and add more dedicated control support. These are solvable problems and one we're excited to tackle. It's going to be really interesting to see how this evolves, for sure. Input control is that's another reason. Like, I've always been kind of hesitant to get into VR. It feels to me as an outsider of the platform that your input be far more limited. Whereas I'm sitting here in front of my display, I couldn't even tell you how many buttons and sticks and knobs and gizmos I have to control all the inputs. So when you're actually sitting in VR, I mean, I suppose it's going to have to become part of the environment, like I was saying, right? You're gonna, instead of me reaching over and flipping a ship on my flight stick, I'm gonna reach onto the ship and actually touch a button on the dashboard, which is pretty wild. It's also worth mentioning that the new VR mode would not be possible without the engine and graphics work happening behind the scenes. Ongoing optimization efforts by our core technology group and our transition to Vulkan have made a meaningful difference, and without that work, I don't think VR would be running as smoothly as it is in its first iteration. I can't comment on all that as I have not tried it, but I'll take their word for it. Yeah, and yours. If you're doing the VR thing, I would love to hear your perspective on how it is running or working. Give me your thoughts on it in the comments. All of this combined with a hard focus on bug fixing and quality of life features has made Star Citizen more fun, stable, and playable than ever. No doubt. And the numbers back it up. Yes, we've talked about this quite a bit. We had record-setting engagement this year with more than 64 million hours played in Star Citizen, up from 48 million in 2024. That's big. That's, what is that? I gotta do math in my head here, but that's 16 million more hours? That's a significant percentage of 48 million. You set new records in peak concurrency and unique daily users, and we saw huge increases in every metric, including 46% increases in average daily users and average peak concurrency. We also saw huge improvements in server stability with 57% fewer player disconnections per 1 million player hours compared to 2024. Those are some awesome metrics and very telling. I can definitely attest that, like, my experience matches these numbers and these claims. I would love to hear if yours has as well. But most of the people I've talked to have reiterated that same sentiment. Like, yeah, it's better than ever. 2025 was truly the year of playability in Star Citizen. On the Squadron 42. On the Squadron 42 front, our focus throughout 2025 was to build on the progress of 2024 and what we showed at last year's CitizenCon by bringing the game to content complete and closing out remaining core tasks in preparation for beta. I'm wondering when beta is going to go off. They haven't really been too forthcoming with how far in advance they expect beta to be. I would expect beta to not be too far ahead of the actual release. I'd be maybe a month or two would be my guess. What's your guess? All chapters are now fully playable from the beginning to end, and we've been playing through the game ourselves regularly. Squadron 42 is a large game, over 40 hours in length, and it's becoming increasingly clear how special it will be once the remaining polish, optimization, and bug fixing is complete. Can't even imagine how much work just that phase is, right? I know we've all been chomping at the bit and waiting for what seems like forever, but just tremendous amount of work, and the detailed work. Like, that is detailed work, and yeah, it can feel endless. A big part of what makes this possible is the technology we've built at CIG over many years. The ability to move seamlessly from on foot into a vehicle you can fly and move around inside, down to a planet, or across star systems, all without loading screens, creates a level of immersion that's difficult to replicate. I mean, that cannot be overstated. It feels like, as a long-time player, it can begin to feel normal, natural, and like we mentioned in the last video, you know, things begin to feel normal, and then they the next step is you take them for granted. And just that ability to transit from on foot to in the pilot seat where the ship is responding to you, to a motorcycle, to, you know, whatever, and then transition. It's just nothing like it. I mean, these fundamental capabilities here is why we so often say the phrase that I know you've heard, there's nothing like Star Citizen. It's exactly because of these fundamental capabilities that we say that. That combination of close-up interaction and galactic scale is at the core of what makes Squadron 42 so unique. I cannot wait to experience Squadron 42. Equally important is the quality of the content itself, from writing and performance capture to characters, environments, ships, lighting and sound, cinematics and design. The level of care across the entire game is something I'm incredibly proud of, combined with deeply interactive systems that creates an experience that pulls you into the world and keeps you there. I can believe it. Obviously, we're going to have to prove this ourselves through first-hand experience, but just based on what I've seen and the amount of time and effort they're putting into this game, I can only imagine it's going to be quite the launch. Somebody recently was wondering, like, will VR be part of Squadron 42? That's an interesting question. Would you like to play Squadron 42 with VR? Interesting. I can see it coming out alongside Squadron as kind of like an extra, kind of like a beta feature or feature in testing or something like that. I don't know that it'll be like prime time ready, or it could even be like after the Squadron 42 launch. I can see them doing that too, just to kind of funnel everybody into the known working thing, and then like maybe you know, kind of like Skyrim VR came out forever after Skyrim. I can see long down the road VR support coming out for Squadron. Community. What continues to mean the most to us is the community that has grown alongside the journey. You have given us your time, shared your perspectives, and chosen to take part in something that is truly bigger than all of us. It is the next great adventure where millions of us like-minded explorers get to live among the stars, and we could not ask for a better crew. Throughout the year, hundreds of Bar Citizen events took place around the world, creating spaces where stories were shared, friendships were formed, and a shared passion for this universe came to life. We were fortunate enough to attend 24 of these in person, and each one was a reminder of the care and creativity you bring to this community. These moments matter, for sure. They help keep us grounded in why we do what we do, and they continue to inspire and motivate us in ways that are truly rewarding. No doubt. I can only imagine how the kind of feedback and reception that you get at things like this would just be so fueling, right? Kind of keep you motivated. You know, we as players got a lot of information out of these Bar Citizens too. There's that one they did in China that I quote quite a bit in some of my videos. It's definitely been beneficial on both ends, and it goes back to what I said during that video, where there is no company or project that I know of that puts this much effort into community engagement, and hats off to them for that. That same energy carried through online. You organized racing events, watch parties, social meetups, and more throughout the year, bringing people together no matter the time zones or continents. CitizenCon Direct was a standout moment for us, with dozens of watch parties happening around the world simultaneously. Despite the distance between us, it genuinely felt like we were more connected than ever. CitizenCon Direct was better than even I expected. Thank you for your time, patience and passion you continue to share with us, whether you join us at an event, help test a build on the PTU, organized a gathering, or simply spent time experiencing the universe with others. You are at the center of our ambition and what makes this entire journey possible. As Chris articulated very well at the end of CitizenCon Direct, and as I addressed in a follow-up video to that. eye on the horizon. Looking ahead to 2026, our focus remains clear. We'll continue improving stability and depth in Star Citizen while expanding and connecting core systems that shape how you play, from engineering to inventory, crafting, and social tools, and other foundational features alongside expanding the playable universe itself. Yeah, I think 2026 is going to be big. I don't know if you noticed, but on the roadmap, they put crafting, inventory, and engineering on there, all ending first quarter 2026. Crafting and inventory reworks alone are going to be huge. It'll be eager to, and I'm also eager to see how engineering continues to evolve, especially alongside things like crafting. So, it's going to be big. Server meshing will become dynamic. Shoo! This is big. If they are committing to dynamic server meshing in 2026, that's going to be big. Although, again, going back to some of their prior videos, I would not expect this to be a big bang release. Like, I don't expect in October of 2026, all of a sudden they're going to come out and say, hey folks, server meshing, the dynamic variety is here. I think we're going to see, as they said, more incremental changes where certain facets of what is currently static will become dynamic, and then, you know, you'll see more and more dynamism over time, so that by the end of 2026 we may see dynamic server meshing present almost to the extent in which it was promised, and that's pretty exciting if that's what they're saying. Allowing the mesh to reconfigure in real time based on player activity and server load. I would imagine, and I think I've said this before, my guess would be that what we will see by the end of 2026 is a static map of where servers could be, and then a dynamic allocation of them across that map. That's where I would expect us to be by the end of 2026. So what that means is we may see that a server could host each moon and the planet separately, but we will dynamically see that happen based on player load, right? So by default, you may see one server for the entire planetary system with its moons. But if enough players pile onto a moon, you'll see a DGS assigned to that moon. I don't think we're going to go all the way to dynamic meshing to the extent where we can see a ship such that we could see a ship powered by a server all to itself. That is like the end goal for dynamic server meshing. But I think we will see dynamic allocation this year. And that was alluded to and kind of spelled out already by Benoit in some of the videos that we covered just a couple months ago. This evolution is foundational to supporting the large-scale group experiences we've always envisioned and will enable us to expand the universe even further. Our goal is to have thousands of players in the same shared universe instance. Components of the server meshing system are also being leveraged to deliver instanced areas and experiences, allowing our designers to craft balanced content that integrates seamlessly into the universe. Thousands of players in the same shared universe. That's where we all want to get to. I mean, they're not far off at 700, right? It's you double the DGSs as part of dynamic, and you're at 1400. Double it again, you're at 2800. So thousands is not far off. I think obviously dynamic will, like the dynamic allocation that they're talking about, or they have talked about, is definitely a huge component in getting to that point, because while they could do this with static, the cost may be prohibitive because you need to stand those servers up full time. You know, it becomes very inefficient doing it that way, and inefficient means expensive. As we expand outward, we're also building deeper. Genesis planets represent our next step in planetary tech, offering breathtaking worlds with significantly improved graphical fidelity. I love that word. It's basically synonymous with Star Citizen at this point. And denser, more dynamically assembled biomes. These planets are driven by the rules of nature and our designers, creating ecosystems that feel alive and authentic. Combined with Starchitect, locations throughout Genesis planets deliver both the environmental depth and the gameplay density we need. That's huge. You know, we've been talking a lot about engineering, crafting, all those types of things, but even for me, it's been kind of easy to forget that Genesis planets are right around the corner as well, and that is going to be huge in bringing all these other systems even more to life. Supporting this will be a new AI population management system that creates inhabitants appropriate to their local environment and enables more complex interactions between agents. This approach to building living, breathing planets is key to scaling the game to the heights we aim for. It'll be interesting to see how they approach this AI population management system. I would imagine that it will bring inhabitants into existence based on player presence. That would obviously be the most efficient way of doing this, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that system evolves and comes online. We're also upgrading core systems that have been with us for years as part of our item recovery, rework, inventory, insurance, and cross-patch persistence are all getting significant improvements. The focus is on making it easier to interact with your belongings while improving the stability and speed of these systems overall. These are integral parts of any MMO experience, and getting them right matters, no doubt. As one of the things that has been the most broken since the Engineering 4.5 patch has been inventory. I don't know what your experience has been, but mine have yielded massive interaction delay with the inventory system. Again, similar to back when 4.0 first came online, I think. As well as especially after 3.18 when Pez came online for the first time. So we can we can tell just by the fact that we are missing this functionality working as well as we have gotten used to, just how important it is to the MMO experience. For Squadron 42, our priority remains quality and polish as we move towards beta and release. We're confident in the direction the game is headed, and we are fully focused on delivery. We know many of you are eager to play, and we're looking forward to putting it in your hands. Can't come soon enough. We don't plan on a long, drawn-out marketing campaign, as we've already done our share of trailers and gameplay previews. When it's time, you and the rest of the gaming world will hear a lot more from us. That makes sense. It kind of matches my earlier guess that I'm assuming that beta will come a month, maybe a little more, maybe 2, no more than that, prior to the game's launch. And in my mind, beta will be all the marketing they need. What do you think? Thank you for continuing to share your time, your feedback, and your passion for this universe. Star Citizen Squadron 42 exists because of all of you, and that is something I will never take for granted. From all of us at Cloud Imperial Games, we wish you a happy holiday season and a great start to the new year. Well said, Chris. Well said. What are your thoughts? What do you think about this chairman's letter? Anything stand out to you? I think they did a really good job of recapping everything that was delivered in 2025, the kind of magnitude and scale of it. You know, whenever you reflect back, it's quite large, and they've definitely given us plenty of hints about what's coming in 2026, what the priorities and focus are going to be. What do you think about them? Do you think there was different focuses? Are you happy with the ones that they have? What are your predictions for the new year? What do you think things will look like at the end of 2026? I'll be making my predictions soon. I made my predictions at the beginning of 2025. I'm going to do the same for 2026. And the next video I put out will probably be going back and looking at the performance of my 2025 predictions. I'll probably do the same in that same video. I'll probably look back at my 2025 predictions, see how I did on those, and then we'll make some for 2026. That'll be fun. again, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever it is that you celebrate, and a very Happy New Year. I hope you are doing fantastic. I look forward to continuing this conversation in the comments below. And until then, take care, and Grolo out.